Hello, welcome guys to another episode of Coull Discussions. I'm Barry. This is Chris. Today we're gonna talk about shootings and death, and there's been a lot of bad stuff. Shootings and death and stuff and terrorism and all these things happening around the world. Recently there's been a couple of police shootings in the United States. Of unarmed people.
Both caught on camera.
Because everything's on camera nowadays.
Yeah.
And there's been a lot of uprising. There's been a lot of hostility, anger, protests about these shootings. One protest resulted in the death of 5 officers or something like that.
A
few of them.
We'll get into more specifics. It's one of those things that's going on right now, and a movement has arisen out of it a couple of years ago called Black Lives Matter. They're the ones who protest whenever black people get killed by police officers. Now, I get it. When anybody in police custody is killed, it's not a good thing to have happen. It erodes trust in the police when things like this happen. Because everything is on videotape now, it becomes easy to become an armchair quarterback. Now, one thing I would ever recommend to a black fellow that is in a police situation, record it from the beginning. Because
we're only seeing a lot, we're not seeing the whole story of everything on what's happening. We see, clips. We see, if there's 5 minutes of an event, we see 30 seconds of it.
Yeah.
And we make judgments on that 30 seconds. We don't know what happened previous. We don't know what happened after. You know what I mean? The one was recorded on Facebook Live of a gentleman who was shot when he was reaching for... He told the officer he had a license for concealed and carry.
Yep.
And he was saying, I'm just getting my license, and he reached and the cop shot him 4 times. Which is weird why the police officer would shoot him 4 times. It makes no sense to me. He's defenseless in a car.
The guy was pulled over for a busted tail light.
Yeah.
The police officer came over, which was kind of weird that the police officer was in the front of the car. Normally they come from the back because they pull you over from the back. But the police officer was in the front when we see the video. Now, he might have been... I
think it was just when he was standing, because he was standing in front of him.
Yeah. But the guy said, I have a license for conceal and carry. I have a gun. I'm reaching for my wallet. Now, the driver in the car, his wife, I believe.
Yeah, I think girlfriend or something like that.
Yeah. Said the same thing. He just said, I'm reaching for my wallet, and the police officer shot him. He was still in his seatbelt when the driver turned on
Facebook Live.
Yeah.
And that's where you see the video from.
Yep.
So you don't see what the events that led up to the shooting. So we're making a judgment on what they're telling us, and what the police are saying. And obviously the police are going to defend their officer. Yeah. Obviously they're going to say he was justified because he feared for his life. I think this brings to light that our system is broken. Well, it doesn't happen. It happens in Canada, but not as much as in the U.S. There's so much gun violence in the U.S. It's ridiculous. We've talked about guns before about the U.S. Go check us out, YouTube. Somewhere in our playlist we have a gun video. And I think that it's just time to change. You know what I mean? All this killing for what reason? Because for what? I'm a white dude and I don't like being pulled over. I hate being pulled over because I don't know what that cop's going to do. I don't know if that cop, he could throw me in jail for anything. He could shoot me and be like, oh, whoops, I thought he was grabbing a gun. I thought he was grabbing a weapon. You know what I mean? And it's like, what? Why? What? Are police not trained in, non-lethal takedown?
Okay. We don't know how police are trained because we're not police officers, and it's not like somebody's leafing through the police handbook saying, "Oh, you know what? This is what he should have done in this situation. This is what he should have done." You know, we always were armchair quarterbacks.
Yeah.
We're saying, "Oh, this is how it should have been done." It's like, well, maybe that's not the way they're taught in police academy. And to be honest, police academy, unless you've gone through it, we don't know what the hell goes on. And police officers don't exactly state, "Oh, in a situation like this, this is what's supposed to happen." They're pretty hush about how they do it, and I think that might be for a reason, because once criminals know how you're supposed to respond in a
Well, it's
situation,
a tactical advantage, right?
yeah, they can take advantage of that situation.
Yeah.
Okay, so in that video, I think the police officer was, personally, just as an armchair quarterback, I think the officer was wrong.
Yeah, I
Because
agree.
in a very worst case scenario, this might come down to the police training part. Is, you know what? At least wait for him to pull a gun out.
Yeah, if you see him grabbing a gun,
But if somebody's reaching slowly, saying, "I'm grabbing my wallet," and he puts his hand out and he slowly brings it back up, he probably doesn't have a gun. But if he reaches down and he quick jerk, maybe. And at that point in time, if he fires, you have a better defense. But the guy was still in his seat.
yeah, he looked
With the
offensive. He
seatbelt
didn't really
on,
look like,
he slumped over, and it's just like, I don't. And one thing that's always bothered me and the people that I talk to is, how come policemen never phone ambulances right away?
I know, it's so weird that he's just standing there pointing his gun at you.
He shouldn't have gone for his gun. He shouldn't have gone for his gun. It's like, well, he didn't go. Well, we don't know.
Yeah, like, why are you not on the horn saying,
Yeah,
shots
he
fired,
should've been,
shots fired,
shots fired.
we
I
need
need
an
an
ambulance.
ambulance ASAP. You know, it should have been the next thing that he did right after pulling the trigger.
Yeah, you know, it's just, it is very weird that it's like, why is there no first aid response? Like,
Yeah, no,
nothing.
none.
And it's like, and you see it a lot when you see videos of any kind of police chase, any kind of police takedown, when they have the perpetrator apprehended and they've done some sort of damage, they've shot them, they don't right away go to help the person. Sometimes they don't deserve to be helped, sometimes they deserve to die.
No, okay.
some situations.
And you know what? If people are still dangerous, I get it. You know, you don't want to go over there and put yourself in
Yeah.
danger, especially after they've made it quite clear that they
Well, yeah,
want
if
to hurt you.
yeah, if they want to hurt you, obviously you got to defend yourself. But in these these situations, to me, it doesn't look like it. Like the one, especially the other one where the cop was wrestling with the one guy, and they shot him. They said
there
he was
was
reaching
two
for a
cops. There was two cops on top of the black guy. He was a big guy. He was wearing the red shirt. And we only saw the scuffle once it hit the
Small,
ground.
yeah, it was a very small
and then,
piece.
you know,
then
one
you heard
cop
bang, bang, then the camera went down.
and the camera goes down. And
you
you
don't
don't really
see
see anything else. So that's really hard in a situation like that. Now, I get it. He's a big guy. You know, he could probably just push you off. And like,
You figured two people would be able to take one.
but okay, the cops make a valid point. Is one, you don't know what the guy is on,
Yeah.
because people that are drugged up have different reactions than people that aren't drugged up. People that are drunk have a higher pain tolerance than people that aren't drunk. People that are on drugs can have incredibly high tolerance for pain compared to people that aren't.
Yeah.
Now, we've had conversations with people at work. I have. One thing I keep telling this fellow is like, well, I don't know about you, but when a police officer says don't move, you don't move.
Yeah.
You don't reach for anything. You don't make sudden movements. If they're tackling you onto the ground, you go limp and let them do what they're supposed to do. You don't struggle and fight back. And one guy's like, oh, well, in any kind of situation when you're like that, you're fighting back, you want to... And it's like, you know what? If you're fighting back and police officers are trying to tackle you and they beat the living piss out of you, I'm sorry, you deserve it.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's the way it is. You know, it goes back to we voted people in to make laws, and they've hired people to enforce these laws. Now the problem I don't think is with. I think it's sometimes with the laws that we have issues with. Yeah, I think it needs to go back to the laws that they're enforcing, You know, like if like you said, if you're told not to move by a law enforcement officer, unfortunately, your best option is to not move. If you've done nothing wrong or you have nothing to hide, this is weird for me to say that. Just cooperate with them and it'll be over in a matter of minutes. You know? Now, if you have an issue, like I do with many of the laws that they're enforcing, that is where you need to direct your protest. Not towards the officer who's enforcing this law, because they're just doing a job. It'd be like if you were told to, you know, go wipe the toilet at your job. You would do it because it's your job. These cops
I wouldn't, but yeah, I know it exactly.
And these cops are like,
they're enforcing
a law. These are laws that are written down. These are laws that are made by our lawmakers.
Yeah.
And these are law enforcement people. And it's like, well, unfortunately, the problem necessarily is with the law then. You know what I mean? Or maybe the way that they're being trained. Maybe that needs to be looked at. You know, unfortunately, cops are human beings. They're going to make mistakes, you know, but sometimes their mistakes end up in people dying.
Well, that is the unfortunate thing, is cops, when they make a mistake, somebody gets hurt. Now, I don't know the whole history behind it, but apparently the police service is involved in this one particular scandal involving a white person, by the way, released the body cam footage, which I think all police officers should have.
100%.
Now, they released this footage of a takedown of a guy. 2 officers pulled this guy over. They told him to get out of the car, but keep your hands visible where you can see him. Now, I guess the guy had difficulties hearing, so he was showing his hands. You could see it. He gets out of the car, and then the police officers say, "Don't move. Don't move, don't move, don't move." They say it quite a few times, and he keeps walking. And it's like, "Show us your hands." And then he puts one hand up, and then the other one, he keeps reaching behind his back. And this guy, the cops are both saying, "Show us your hands, show us your hands, show us your hands." And he keeps reaching back, And I'm just like, okay, buddy, right there, that's how you're going to die.
How would you react? Yeah, if I was in that situation as a police officer, how would I react? If I saw somebody doing this with one hand
and trying to reach,
this, I'd be like, okay,
there's something there.
Yeah.
And he reaches for his hand, really reaches in the back really quickly, and both police officers fire into him. He dies, and they find out it's just a plastic box that he had in the back of his pants. And I was like, buddy, you just died over a plastic box.
What was in the plastic box? Anything?
They didn't say. So, regardless of what was in the plastic box, he died because of it, because he didn't want to listen to police officers and show his hands.
Unfortunately, that's the issue. Again, you know, what I said is that, like, the police officers are just enforcing a law that has been made, and it's like, I don't know. To me, it's senseless. I think that, you know, the police officers should be held accountable if they're in the wrong.
Yes, I agree.
This officer who shot this guy in the car should be tried for murder because he murdered the guy. There was no reason for him to shoot him. I don't see any reason for him to shoot him.
I agree. That one, I think we are in agreement in, and I think a lot of people are in agreement in, is that in that case, that officer should be. Something should happen.
There's videos been released. There's couple videos in Calgary that have been released recently.
We've been talking about that at work.
Of cops taking down people, and it's like, and people are saying, "Oh, this is excessive force," and I'm like, well,
no,
not really. The cops just tell him to tell the drunk dude to stop, and it's like he wouldn't stop. The guy just wouldn't listen, and so the cop had to detain him. And it's like, well, does the guy deserve a couple punches in the face?
Probably not.
I don't know. I'm not in the situation.
But, okay, my thinking is like, okay, you know what? If you punch somebody in the face, you stun them, and they might actually, you might actually be able to do something. But then the people that I work with are saying, it's like, no officer should ever need to punch you in the face.
Well,
okay. Okay. In this video, the policeman grabs a guy, takes him down. The other there are 2 other cops there. One has his legs. One looks like he has one arm, and it does to me, when I'm looking at this video, it looks like the guy has his other arm up, and he's trying to do this. right? His arm is nowhere near his face trying to protect it.
Yeah.
He's reaching up and it, either from pushing or trying to punch the guy. And that's when the police officer goes whack, whack, whack.
I just wonder what we expect them to do. Like, how do we expect them to handle situations that are potentially violent? What do we as a society want them to do to de-escalate these things? And there are ways to do it. There are ways to use words and to use the way that, like, body language and stuff like that to de-escalate situations. I understand that, and they should be taught that. But if you're with somebody, against somebody who's not, responding to your verbal commands or anything
people
like that,
who are suicidal by cop, those people aren't going to go.
No, they want
they want to die. So in the end, you can't. Okay, we have lots of knife incidents in Calgary because guns aren't as common. Now, we had one time where a police officer shot a guy with a knife. He was quite a ways away, 8 feet away, and a lot of people were like, "Why didn't you tase him?" Now, in situations like that, yeah, I get it. Why didn't you tase him?
See, that's one thing I wonder.
They shot him.
Like, why is their first response to grab their gun? Should we maybe put their tasers here instead of their gun, like on their hip? Should they have their tasers more accessible than their guns? But then, are you putting them at a disadvantage?
That's the problem. Whose life do we want to take care of? The people that have to put their lives in the way, or the people who do stupid things,
criminals,
or the criminals? We'll use the word criminal loosely there, because it might be just a guy like
a drunk person. Might be they're not criminals. They had a little too much to drink. Yeah, and the cops had to be called and get thrown in the drunk tank. They're not a criminal for doing that. But exactly what are cops supposed to do then? What are they supposed to do? That's the question. What are you supposed to do? Like,
okay, there was a drunk guy at the Stampede. What was it? There were 4 guys on the drunk guy. And at one point in time, you see one police officer take a couple kidney shots on the guy. Now, I don't know why. From what I understand, when you get hit in the kidney shot, you have a body reaction that
hurts.
Yeah. I think the point of causing pain is to break a person's concentration so you can subdue them easier. Yeah. If you don't subdue them, they're going to fight back, and that's what they always do. You had 4 cops on the guy. What if all of a sudden, instead of the 4 cops tackling him and taking him down, they used a taser? We'd be going like, "Oh, you shouldn't have tased him. You should have taken him down."
Well, exactly. I don't think it's ever good
took
enough.
It down.
You
take him down, and people are like, "Oh, it's pathetic. Too much force." And it's like, okay, should they have tased him?
So exactly, what are you supposed to do as a police officer? And I think police are going to come to a point. I think it's happening in the U.S. already. Is that they know that civilians are more armed than they are, so they're scared. I think police are scared.
Okay,
so
now
that's why you're seeing more shootings, because they're like, "Oh my god, I could die."
Now, my point is, okay, a police officer in Chicago, yes, because people die every day in Chicago. Gangs shoot it out instead of talking every day. But in Chicago,
there's higher crime rate, higher homicide,
much higher.
Like that, so
okay, compared to say Minnesota, right? If a shooting happens in Minnesota,
it's a little more like, whoa, that way.
Yeah, exactly. But if a shooting happens in Chicago,
Detroit,
I'm sorry, that's kind of expected. And I forgot where it's going. Damn it.
Gotta love that when you do that, when you're just talking and it goes,
oh, yeah.
Goodbye, thought. It happens to me all the time, too. Happens to me all the time. Now, on the flip side, as, like, civilians, we have this, like, Black Lives Matter movement. Which I get, I understand. You're saying that black people are killed more than any other race in police incidents. Now, okay, I'm all for protest. Okay, I'm all for it. You're allowed to speak your piece, speak your mind, but I don't think you should be standing in the middle of traffic, blocking major roads.
Okay,
hold
on.
There was the
one that happened in Dallas was incredibly peaceful up to a point where a tragedy happens. It was incredibly peaceful. People were talking with cops.
Yeah.
Cops were part of it. Now, there's been a couple of other places where these same protests have happened, but for whatever reason, police have resorted to tear gas and water cannons. Now, I don't know whether or not people were rampaging through the streets.
I'm thinking of two incidences. There's one in the U.S. where the Black Lives Matters movement, they sat on one interstate somewhere. I can't remember exactly where, but they sat and they stopped traffic. So the police ended up arresting 45 people. I don't think that's a good form of protest. No, unfortunately, I don't. I don't think that's a good form of protest. Number two, in Toronto, they were having a Pride Parade, and the Black Lives Matters stopped the Pride Parade.
Yeah.
Because they felt that they weren't, their matters were not being heard.
Yes. You know,
and it's like, to me, it's very, you're doing the very thing that you're protesting against.
Yep.
You know what I mean? You're oppressing somebody else's freedom of speech for your own. And there's a lot of incidences in this world that that I think it comes as one statement. I put it on our Facebook page last week or something like that, and I said, I don't think that any of this senseless killing in this world is going to stop until we all realize that no one life is greater than another. You know, and that's what it comes down to, bottom line.
Okay, true. Now, you mentioned that, black people are killed by police in higher numbers. Now, well, that's not entirely true. Now, just based off of police officers involved in shooting and killing members, unfortunately, when I tried to research this, basically everybody said it depends on who you talk to. But I did nail down two stats, and this was this. From The Guardian, which is a British paper, really, really weird on that one, a British paper reporting on this. According to them, 1,146 people were shot dead by police in the States in 2015. Shot dead. Okay?
That's a lot.
For 350 million people, that's not that many.
It's like 2 a day, 3 a day.
Okay. When you put it that way,
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, that makes a little bit more sense. 581 white people were killed, and 306 black people were killed, and the rest were a mix of Asian, Hispanic, and what they call
others. Yeah.
Okay. Now the other one was from the Washington Post, which is an American one. 990 dead, 258 black, 994 white, 172 Latino, and 64 other. Those stats don't state that black people are killed more.
And see, this is where
by police.
This is where stats can be skewed, because right at the beginning of that conversation, we just skewed our own stats, because he said 1,000 people were killed in America.
1,100.
1,100 were killed in America in 2015.
Yep.
And his point of view, well, that's not too many compared to 350 million people, right?
Yep.
That's not that many. You're right. It's not, when you look at it that way. And then I went, that's 3 people a day.
Right?
We just took one stat, made it look not that bad, and made it look real bad.
Exactly.
That's what we did. Just bam, like that. So you can take any stat.
That is a great example of that point. Is stats can be made to be
you can make a stat
into good
yeah.
and evil.
You can make a stat to look good for your argument at any point. Because my argument was, well, that's a lot of people being killed by police. That's 3 a day. Okay, so that's not that many. That's 350 million. 1,100 of 350 million. Well, that doesn't sound like that many. 3 a day. That sounds like a lot.
Yeah. So, what I found really interesting was goes really well with what you're saying. Was they all of a sudden made a new way to read stats to make it sound bad. And okay, I get it. You got to make your point. They basically said, okay, so normally statistics are based off of every 100,000 people. Okay, so, when you talk about rape cases, you can compare, there are 33 rape cases
per 100,000 people.
Per 100,000 people, and you go, okay, that's the way it is in Calgary, how many in Edmonton, how many in New York, and you can compare much better than if you're just saying, in Chicago, we had 5 people dead today, and then in Calgary, we had 5 people dead all year, right? So, you can compare stats a lot easier that way. And I did it to myself again.
Didn't you say something about they changed it to a stat of per million people?
Okay, there's something to designate how dirty water is, and it's called parts per million. Now, when you hit so many parts per million, it is considered dirty water. Now, what these people did with these stats was this: is they did.
Who are these people? Do you know?
The people writing the article about Black Lives Matter. They stated that white people are killed about one person per million death by cop. Black people are killed 3 per million death by cop. So black people are being killed at 3 times the number that white people are, even though more white people are being killed by cops.
Wouldn't that still translate into, if you broke it down into 100,000 as well?
No,
Wouldn't it still translate?
It would be like point.
Yeah,
something.
it'd be 0.1. Yeah, it'd be 0.1, 0.3 or whatever.
Yeah.
So it'd still be 3 times more.
No, but no. But based off of so it's a good way to skew it. And when you say it that way, it sounds like black people are being killed a lot more than white people. Now, this is based off of population volumes, whereas 60% of the U.S. is white and 13% is black. So you take all the deaths by black, and you get 3 people dead per million black people, and you get 1 white person dead per 1 million.
I just think you have to be careful when you look at stats or you look at news media, you look at any type of media, and you base your opinion on that, and you base, I think that I'm all for this Black Lives Matter. I'm all for that. I'm all for your ability to protest. I'm all for it. I get it. I get what you're saying, because it's happened. All we hear about lately is the black people that are getting killed by police. We don't hear about white. We don't hear about every single one.
No, we don't.
Every person who's killed by a cop.
Mm-hmm.
We don't hear about it. There was just yesterday. There was a shooting in Calgary. A Calgary police officer killed somebody. I don't know the details, because I was watching the news and I kind of went, I can't watch this. There's so much bad shit on the news that I got mad, and I was like, nope, can't do this. And I just think that I'm not going to sit here and be like, all lives matter, # all lives matter. I just think that, again, I just don't think there's so much senseless killing, because everybody thinks that their idea, their situation is better than somebody else's, or like they're more deserving of things than other people, and they've had it harder than other people. You know what I mean? And it's like, well, we're in a time right now where we're not racist at birth. We don't hate at birth. We are taught hate.
Yep.
We are taught racism. By who? By the people around us. By your parents. By the media.
By your friends.
By your friends. When you're a kid, you put 100 little kids age 5, under 5, around the age 5, 6 years old. What are they going to do?
They're going to play.
They're going to play with each other. Or is there going to be some fighting? Of course there is. But it's not because this person is black, white, purple, pink, or they believe in Jesus, or Muslim, or Buddha, or the fairy godmother unicorn. They're gonna fight because Billy took my truck. Billy can't play on this swing right now. Why is Tommy taking too long on the merry-go-round? That's why little kids are fighting. And now we're fighting, and we're taught, for whatever reason, I don't know where you're taught this.
Oh, well, our father taught us racism. He taught us to hate Packies.
Like, exactly. So when you got to look at yourself in the mirror. When you're protesting in whatever situation, and somebody sees that, your kid sees that, and they see how you're hating towards somebody, they go, "Wow, I'm gonna hate towards them because my mom is doing that, my dad is doing that," and it's like, well, you can only break the chain.
A good feel-good story about this was a mother and a daughter were at the Black Lives Matter protest in Dallas before the shootings. Okay, She was walking with her daughter, and she said to her daughter, "It's like, things like this are important. We got to do things like this." Now, after the shootings that had happened, this lady told her daughter is that we are going to go to the memorial for these police officers that were killed because it is important that we go there and show support. That right there is a good example of teaching your children. It's like, yeah, you know what? Black Lives Matter, this whole movement is important, but what happened to these police officers is also important.
These police officers died senselessly because somebody had hate because they felt that they were doing, and they took justice in their own hands, and they went, I'm gonna do this because you guys did this to me. You did this to my people. And it's like, well, what?
In a completely flip side to that, if this person had done the shootings of police officers in the city where these two black men had been shot, it might have been a completely different story. But this guy shot, wounded, and killed police officers in a completely different part of the country that had absolutely nothing to do with what would have been going on in a city where they had reduced complaints against officers by like 62%. The police chief is a black person himself, where they'd been making efforts, huge efforts to reach out to the community, and he goes and does something like this. It's horrible, in my opinion. I think it
is horrible, and you probably watching this going, well, what do we do? What do we do? How do we stop this? I don't have an answer, but number one,
racist.
Number one, I think is if. Unfortunately, there are laws in our countries, in our provinces, and whatever. Okay, you need to know your rights. We have the ability. We can record our police officers.
Yep,
we're allowed to. That's our right. So if you get pulled over and you feel uncomfortable, something feels weird.
No. Don't. It doesn't matter how. If you feel all happy and joyous, anytime a policeman
pull out your telephone,
put it off to the side, and record it.
But tell the officer, I have video and I have audio recording of this traffic stop, so that they know. You don't have to tell the police officer anything. You can hand them your registration and license.
Go, yes, sir. No, sir. Okay, sir. Be polite. You don't have to like them, but you do have to.
You can go to court. You can go to court if you think that what they're giving you a ticket is wrong for. You can.
People do.
You can make a complaint. I know it sounds weird. This sounds so weird for me.
Yeah,
it sounds very weird. But you can make a complaint to the police if you feel that you've been mistreated. You can. I encourage people to record police. I think that police should have body cameras. I agree. I think you should record the police, but I think you should record the police doing good things and bad things.
Yeah.
You should record police in all situations. If you see a police officer, fireman doing something good, record them. Put that out there on social media, because there are so many good cops out there. There's so many people who do that.
Don't be so quick to judge, because, just by watching a 30-second video, you go, oh, well, the police officer's guilty. We don't know this. Yeah. We don't know what was going on beforehand. We don't know what possibly could have happened. In Canada, I think the policemen and police officers that we have in Canada are really, really good. From what I understand, training in Canada is a lot different than in the States. They look for a different type of personality when they are hiring officers. So we don't have these people who shoot first, ask questions later.
I think in the U.S. the problem, it is I think a small piece of the pie. If you look at the problem as a pie, a small piece is the police officers themselves. A bigger piece is the laws and the legislations that they have down there.
Yeah.
Because it's weird that a citizen can be outgunned a law enforcement. Now, I think that citizens should have guns. I think you should be able to defend yourself. I think if you have a gun in your house, that's fine. No problem. I'm okay with that. But I don't think you should be able to buy an assault rifle. You know what I mean? And we've talked about that before.
Yeah.
Check it out, YouTube. But these two incidents and all these police videos and stuff like that, they've been out for years. If you go on YouTube and you look up police brutality. You can find police beating people up all the time. And there's worse cases of what we're seeing now. You know, there's police kicking people when they're in handcuffs. There's no reason for that.
No.
That police officer should be punished.
Yes.
They should lose their job and be like, done. Get out. Get out.
Now, when a police officer is in the middle of a takedown, we don't know. Now this might be part of the problem too. Is that when policemen are required to investigate themselves, they tend to find themselves not guilty. Now, in Canada, we actually have a separate body that investigates all police shootings, all of them, whether fatal or just start firing off a gun. All cases are investigated to see if somebody was at fault. So I think that's a little different. I don't know in the States.
Yeah,
I think in some of the cities, it's police investigate police, and it's like, no, that's not the way it should be. You should have an independent.
I just think you should always ask yourself how you're conducting yourself.
Yeah.
As a person, and how you just remember that you value your life a lot. Like, we all value our lives. We're all here just trying to make it, just to do good, and you got to remember that that's what everybody's doing. You know what I mean? And this, I think all of this is just it puts into light the issues in society as a whole. I think a lot. There is a lot of oppression, but not just of people, of everyone, not just of one race or one this or one of everybody. There's a lot of oppression of everybody, and I don't know. I just think that if you're protesting, if you're standing up for an idea, you need to look how you're conducting yourself. If you're interrupting somebody else's freedom of speech, then I don't think you're any better than any hate group out there, unfortunately, because you're saying that my movement is better than yours. My movement is more important than yours. My statement now is more important than anything that you have to do at this moment. You're blocking a road. I'm trying to get home. You're blocking me from living my life. You're blocking me for what reason? Yes, your idea is important. Yes, it is. But so is mine. You don't know if I'm trying to get home because my kid is sick. You don't know if you know what I mean? You don't know the situation that I'm in. Now you've just impeded my life.
Now, when you protest, it should be peaceful. Like, if there's rioting in the streets, I totally understand cops using tear gas and riot gear and water
Imagine if somebody
cannons.
came into your house and started bashing your shit up. What would you do?
Take them
You
down
would try
violently.
you would try to bash their shit up, right? Like them, not their
Yeah.
shit, but them. You know what I mean? So it's senseless to me. It sucks because it's not going to change in my lifetime. It's not. Unfortunately, we talked about this a little bit last week with a new political party, and I just think that everybody's equal, and we're always going to have senseless violence. There's so many other things that we're going to talk about, guys, about everything that's happening in this world right now. Because there's lots. There's so much going on right now. You're just like overwhelmed, and to me, it upsets me. It makes me angry. It makes me mad because I sit here and I go, how do we not understand this? How do we not? There was recently just a 5-year-old girl who was killed in Calgary. Her mom and her were killed, and it's like, how does this happen? You know what I mean? And it's like, these people lost their lives in senseless shootings. You know what I mean? And for what? For what? Because you thought your idea was better than somebody else's. Your agenda was number one. So just remember, guys. You have anything else to say?
No, I think that's
just remember, guys. Remember that no one life is greater than another, and we need to realize that. To sing Kumbaya by the campfire. Don't forget to subscribe to us on the YouTubes. Go to our Facebook page.
subscribe on YouTube or iTunes. Like us on YouTube.
Do that too.
You can like us on Facebook as well.
And like us everywhere.
Yes, you can.
That's right.
Can you like on Twitter? Is there a like?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's a little heart. Hit the little heart.
Okay.
You can retweet.
I'm not.
You can retweet. You can quote tweets.
Quote tweets.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Bam. Thanks for watching, guys. Appreciate it. Give us your opinions on all this. Remember that. We like opinions. Whether you think we're crazy, a couple white crackers, racists. Other than that, guys, have a great week.
See ya.